All right, welcome back. My name is Ranbir. So today I'm going to answer a question that I received on my Instagram. Uh, am I a fan of calorie cycling? Okay. So first and foremost, what is calorie cycling? Okay. So calorie cycling, long story short, is you have some days with higher calories and other days with lower calories. So an example of this in application would be, let's say Monday through Friday you're eating 1,600 calories, and then on Saturday and Sunday you're eating 2,000 calories. Okay. What this does, just an explanation, is the average of this is going to come out to you set it up in a way that your weekly average is still a calorie deficit, right? So let's just say, for example, that these 1,600 times 5 plus 2,000 and 2,000, let's say the average comes out to 1,800 calories per day. Now, and 1,800 calories, you could just take that across the board and just eat 1,800 every day, right? That's another option of doing it. That's the typical way of doing it. But what this does is, and so we'll get into some of the benefits, right? So some of the benefits is that it allows you to have certain days that are obviously higher calories because you're taking them from other days. And so the benefit of that is, if you set it up, like this is one of the first versions that I've tried way back in the day. I had 4 low days and 3 high days, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what that did for me was it allowed me to have more calories on the weekends, which is where I would end up having more calories anyway, just because that's when you're having meals, you're going out or you're hanging out. And so it kind of fits, right? So those are like your fun days where you're are gonna have more calories. So it kind of mirrors that setup, or just like the flow of life, very well. So for that reason, I really like it. And also along those lines, it kind of gives you a mental break as well, right? So it's just like anything else. You're gonna have periods of intense focus and then rest and relaxation. So this is a little bit of a psychological break, which is, the value of that is not is very underappreciated. So it allows you to have this, whatever. And there's many ways to calorie cycle. This is just one example that we're focusing on. But in this example, like, I can really dial it in for Monday through Friday, or maybe Monday through Thursday, whatever it is. But let's say I'm dialing it in, I'm focused, right? And then on Saturday and Sunday, I have a little bit more wiggle room, and I know I can just like relax a little bit, right? And for somebody to be like, oh, 400 calories is a lot of food, right? So that's kind of the benefit of setting it up this way. And so you think about it, you look at it, 400 calories, maybe that's where you add in one drink, right? A glass of whiskey, that's going to be about 100 calories. Maybe you can have 2 of those, right? So that's 200 calories right there. So for that reason, and it might not be alcohol. I mean, I prefer to use those calories on, I don't know, maybe I go out with my wife and we get some fries, or I go have a donut with my wife in the morning, whatever it is, right? So that's a great benefit of that. And then the third thing is something that a lot of people don't really understand or talk about very much, which is your body's main objective and what it's really good at is to adapt. And so your metabolism is constantly adapting to the current stresses, right? Or the current scenarios. And so if you're consistently at, let's say, 1,800 calories per day, your body is trying to adapt to that so that it can use less calories to function on a day-to-day basis. So having some higher calorie days in there, what that does is it kind of allows your brain to be like, or your body to say, oh, okay, we can turn, like, oh, there's more calories, so no need to try to down regulate metabolism or use less calories because there's more calories here. And so then, boom, you don't switch off that fat burning, and then come Monday, you're back at 1,600. So it kind of prevents, that adapting, well, it's adapting to that situation, but it kind of keeps your fat burning going all the time, right? That's one way of kind of looking at that. It stops you from trying to be more efficient with your calorie usage. Some of the ways that shows up is when you're constantly at a lower calorie, you're gonna tend to want to move less. That's why step counters are so good, because they give you a window into how active you are. So that's why I always recommend people use step counters. Like, this is the one that I use. You'll see, I'll put a link in the description, so if you wanted to get this, you can get one. Because all this does is count steps. I love it. It's one of my favorite tools. And so, what ends up happening is you'll notice, if you just pay attention, that if you're constantly at a lower calorie, you're moving less. Your step count is low unless you really pay attention and go move, kind of like make yourself go move and be aware of it. So anyways, that's the benefits. Now, some of the cons. So I think that as I'm beginning out, these are skills you want to layer and stack. So it's completely independent on who the person is, where they are, and how open they are to trying and experimenting with different things. So I think this requires more skill, because it's 2 sets of calories to look at, all right? It requires more skill, because also it's in terms of like how mature and responsible you are, because some people try to do this without knowing that it's calorie cycling, in that they're like, oh, I ate 500 calories over, can I just take that out of tomorrow? That's not a relationship you want to develop. So it requires a little bit more resiliency in thinking, because you get into the habit of that, then you're going to constantly be taking calories from other days, and so on those days you have less and less calories, which makes it more miserable, which prevents you from doing it forever. So I think those are some of the things that are on the con side of this. But for the most part, if you are at a mental state and a skill level to be able to do that, I think it's a worthwhile experiment to run. I've done variations of this over the years many times, and if I think back, like, those are the times where I've made quite a significant bit of progress, because if you want to get super lean, super shredded, you gotta go into those lower calories. And if I'm going down to 1,700 calories, like, having a day or two of higher calories, really, but controlled higher calories. So I'm not just eating 5,000 calories, it's controlled, because otherwise that wipes out the deficit for the entire week. But having those controlled higher calorie days allows me to have that mental break, like I said, and it keeps me doing it longer. And that's the name of the game. He or she who can do the thing the longest gets the best results, right? Whether it's staying in a calorie deficit long enough to get lean, where you want, or it's lifting weights consistently for a long enough amount of time, week in, week out, 3, 4, 5 times a week, whatever it is, for the rest of your life. Like, those are really the keys. So anything to increase your consistency, your willingness, and your ability to show up day in and day out, that's always good in my book. So hopefully that was helpful. And if you got questions, please leave it in the comments. Send me a message over on Instagram, rambeer.sangera. And make sure if you think this was helpful to you, please like it, share it, and I will see you in the next video.